The world is not a frontier. The horses slipped twice as they climbed the slope to the abandoned mine. Leon held tight to the reins. Hardin followed with gritted teeth. The cloth wrapped around his forehead had turned red again. Torches came into view before the work entrance. The guards rushed out. One of them recognized Leon's face and froze.
My lord.
Leon leaped down from his horse.
Did a corpse wagon come through? It went in a little while ago. They had written orders bearing both your seal and the customs seal.
The guard held out a sheet of paper with a trembling hand.
It said the dead had succumbed to a plague and that we weren't to open it. They said the bodies would be burned immediately inside.
Leon glanced at the paper once, then crumpled it.
How many went in with it? 3 carters and several armed men. I couldn't count them all. The guards inside? No word from them.
Yin Sioha crouched beside the wagon tracks. The broad wheel ruts ended in the dirt. Beyond them, narrower iron wheel tracks continued into the mine.
They transferred the cargo to a minecart.
A faint clang of metal echoed from inside the work entrance. Leon handed the 2 prisoners they had brought from the docks over to the guards.
Tie them up and lock them away separately. Does anyone know the mine's layout?
One guard raised his hand.
I do. Lead the way.
Hardin drew his sword.
What about the guards inside? If they're alive, we bring them out. If they're dead, we bury them later.
Leon entered the mine. Beyond the work entrance, minecart tracks ran down a long slope. At the very bottom lay a deep shaft, once used to lower minecart cargo to the levels below. Lamps burned along the walls, but the lower passage was dark. They had not gone a dozen paces when they spotted someone. 2 of the inner guards lay slumped against the wall. One was bleeding from the head, while the other had a rope tied around his thigh. Hardin checked their breathing.
They're both alive. Carry them outside.
2 soldiers lifted the fallen guards. At that moment, the lamplight below wavered. The foremost shield rang violently. The soldier behind it was shoved backward.
Get down.
A second bullet shattered a lamp. The flame went out, plunging the passage ahead into darkness. Leon ducked behind a shield. Below, he heard minecart wheels rolling. The sound was receding slowly but steadily.
2 shooters.
Hardin briefly peered around the edge of the shield, then immediately pulled back. Another shot rang out. This bullet punched through the edge of the shield. A wooden splinter buried itself in the soldier's cheek. If they went straight down, they would be under fire the entire way. Leon looked at the mine guard crouched beside him.
Is there another route? There's a narrow side passage behind the right wall. It rejoins this main passage at the work area below. The haulage shaft is just a little farther down from there. Where's the entrance?
The guard pointed beyond the shattered lamp.
20 paces ahead.
It was directly in front of the shooters. Leon called over 2 archers.
I'll go out with a shield. Shoot the moment you see a muzzle. It's too dark. Then shoot the light.
A small flashlight was lit beside the shooters below. Its beam swept across the shield. Leon raised the cracked shield and advanced. 1 step. 2. A bullet struck the center of the shield. The impact traveled up his arm and slammed into his shoulder. He did not stop. 2 arrows flew from behind him. One struck the wall, while the other hit the flashlight. It fell to the floor and spun in circles.
Now.
Leon and the shield bearers charged forward. The enemy shattered another lamp. Oil spilled across the floor. A spark caught, and low flames spread beside the tracks. Black smoke began collecting against the ceiling. The shooters fired through the smoke. 1 soldier staggered. A bullet had grazed his upper arm. Leon shoved him toward the wall.
Put pressure on the wound. Don't follow us.
The mine guard kicked away a plank on the right wall, revealing an opening barely wide enough for 1 person. Leon squeezed in first.
Hardin, cover the rear. Leading from the front again, I see. You're wider than I am.
Hardin gave a short laugh and turned around. A bullet struck his shield an instant later. The side passage was so low they had to hunch over. Leon crawled forward with only the short spear-wielding guard and 1 soldier. Yun Sioha remained behind the corner wall at the entrance.
Don't come out until the gunfire stops.
All right.
The remaining troops stayed with Hardin to keep the 2 shooters occupied in the main passage. Footsteps sounded from the end of the side passage. Leon raised a hand. A man was approaching in a crouch. His long gun kept catching on the wall, preventing him from turning properly. He forced the muzzle up. Leon lunged first. The gun went off beside his ear. The bullet struck the ceiling behind him. Leon pinned the barrel against the wall with his shield. The man tried to draw a pistol, but there was no room. Leon drove his short spear into the man's thigh. The man dropped to his knees. Another enemy thrust a blade from behind. The mine guard blocked it with his spear shaft, but the blade tore open his palm. Leon kicked away the first man's gun and spun around. The blade scraped across his leather armor. He smashed the corner of his shield up beneath the enemy's jaw. The man's head slammed into the wall. The soldier seized him and twisted his arm behind his back.
Tie him up.
Without even pausing to catch his breath, Leon headed for the end of the side passage. The space ahead opened up. The side passage rejoined the main route at the lower work area. Farther below, the deep holage shaft used to lower minecart cargo yawned open. A minecart stood in the work area, piled high with cloth-covered crates. Footsteps sounded behind him. Hardin emerged from the main passage. Yun Sioha and the remaining soldiers followed behind him. Blood soaked Hardin's forehead and the corner of one eye.
An archer hit the first shooter in the shoulder, and we took him alive. The other retreated farther down.
Leon looked below and saw the retreating shooter and 4 other enemies scattered behind the minecart. Among them, a man in a gray coat stood guard beside the brake cable. Leon positioned Yun Sioha behind a corner wall.
Stay there and check the markings.
Yun Sioha shone the flashlight toward the minecart. The 2 crates in front bore red explosive warnings. The crates behind them had been separately encased in thick wooden planks.
The front 2 crates contain explosives. I think the ones in back hold different equipment.
What happens if the explosives go off?
If they detonate in front of the haulage shaft, the passage and its supports could collapse together.
The moment the man in the gray coat saw Leon, he cut the minecart's brake cable instead of drawing his sword. The minecart began to move. It was slow at first, but the slope grew steeper below the work area. The minecart rapidly picked up speed as it hurtled toward the haulage shaft. The man darted into a low drainage passage beside the work area. The mine guard shouted urgently.
That passage leads outside onto the mountainside.
Hardin raised his sword.
I'll go after him.
Leon looked from the fleeing man to the minecart. If it fell into the haulage shaft and exploded, the collapse would reach the main passage. There might still be guards alive below.
Let him go. We stop the minecart first.
Below the work area stood a lever for switching the tracks. Left as it was, the minecart would plunge into the haulage shaft. If they threw the lever, it would veer right onto a short track that ended at a pile of rocks. Leon pulled the lever. It did not move. The iron joint had rusted solid. The minecart came rushing down. The clatter of its iron wheels rapidly grew louder.
Do you have oil?
With his torn hand, the mine guard took a small oil flask from his waist and poured it over the joint. Leon pushed again. The lever moved slightly, then stopped. The fleeing man fired from the entrance to the drainage passage. The bullet shattered the stone beside the lever. Hardin stepped in front of Leon. The next bullet buried itself in his shield.
Keep going.
The minecart had passed through the work area. Leon pushed the lever with both hands. His shoulders trembled. The mine guard braced himself against the other side.
1.
They heaved at the same time. With a screech of metal, the lever slammed all the way over. The tracks switched. The minecart's front wheels struck the switching mechanism. The body tipped violently, then veered onto the short track to the right.
Behind the wall.
Leon and the mine guard threw themselves behind a stone ledge beside the tracks. Yin Sioha was already lying flat behind the corner wall. A step behind the others, Hardin rolled into cover with her. The minecart crashed into the pile of rocks at the end of the track. One of the front explosive crates shattered. Some of the bundles that spilled out erupted in showers of sparks. The blast shook the mine. A wave of hot air and stone fragments swept over the ledge. Rocks fell from the ceiling. The upper section of the drainage passage's entrance collapsed as well, though enough space remained for a person to crawl through. The minecart toppled onto its side, and its iron frame stood between the blast and the equipment crates secured at the rear. Ears ringing, Leon pushed himself upright. The main passage was intact. The tracks leading to the haulage shaft had not been severed either.
Hardin.
Hardin, who had fallen beneath the wall, raised a hand.
I'm not dead.
As he stood, the cloth around his forehead came completely loose and fell away. The shooter who had retreated down the main passage charged out with another enemy. One carried a sword, while the shooter held a pistol. Leon ducked behind the stone ledge. A pistol shot passed over his head. Hardin drove his shield upward, knocking the enemy's pistol arm into the air. Leon charged through the opening. He struck the pistol wielder's wrist with his short spear, then drove him against the wall with his body. The other enemy swung his sword at Hardin. Hardin blocked once with his shield, then struck the man's temple with his sword pommel. The enemy collapsed. The soldiers following behind pinned both men down and bound them. 2 more enemies lay below the work area. One had been killed by shrapnel, while the other groaned with his leg trapped beneath a rock. The man in the gray coat was nowhere to be seen. A leather bag lay at the entrance to the half-collapsed drainage passage. Its strap appeared to have caught on a protruding nail and torn loose. Leon opened the bag. Inside were a round customs seal and a small seal plate engraved in reverse with Leon's crest. There was also a folded equipment manifest. Yin Sioha let out a breath.
We found both of them.
Leon wrapped the customs seal and seal plate separately and tucked them inside his coat.
Now they can't open any more doors in my name.
They went to the pile of rocks. The minecart lay on its side. The front explosive crate had been torn apart and scorched, but most of the sealed bundles inside the second crate had not detonated. The equipment crates secured behind them were only singed on the outside, protected by the minecart's iron frame. The soldiers smothered the remaining embers with dirt. There were no bodies. The equipment crates held rows of silver stakes, each as long as a forearm. A number had been engraved into every stake. Another crate contained measuring instruments fitted with tapes and needles, along with several rolled-up maps of the mine. Yun Sioha picked up one of the instruments and examined it.
It's simpler than what I saw at the gateway. This equipment works without electricity.
What does it measure?
I don't know.
Leon unrolled a map of the mine. Even passages sealed long ago were drawn on it. Red marks had been stamped at several locations. One of them marked the wall of this very work area. Leon picked up a silver stake and approached the marked wall. A thin trace of a silver vein long since dulled remained in the stone. The moment he brought the stake close, blue frost spread across its surface. The mark on the back of Leon's hand split open with searing heat. Leon gritted his teeth. A trickle of blood ran between his fingers. Yunseo hurriedly pulled the stake away.
Are you all right?
Leon looked back and forth between the wall and the map.
They didn't come here to mine silver.
He looked down at the stake.
They were taking measurements beneath the gateway.
The prisoners refused to speak. Even when Leon held the map before their eyes, they merely looked away. Yun Sioha did not wait for an answer. She unfolded the equipment manifest from the bag and called out the stake numbers one by one. The soldiers counted the remaining stakes. Her hand stopped.
One is missing.
Search under the broken crates.
The soldiers cleared away the stones and splintered wood. They found nothing. Leon returned to the entrance of the drainage passage where the bag had fallen. Beneath the collapsed stones, enough space remained for a person to crawl through. He lowered his torch. Wet footprints led toward the mountainside. Beside them ran another trail where the tip of a long stake had dragged through the mud. Leon clenched the recovered customs seal in his fist.
One silver stake has already left the mine.